Gourmet number 14, Komatsu's death.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the epic and appetite-inducing tale of Toriko. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with Coco and Toriko pretty handily taking out the devil python. They ran into, I guess you'd say, a couple of small snags or bumps in the road, but they were able to take it out, to defeat it, to kill it. And then, of course, we saw at the end of the chapter the gourmet hunter that had captured Komatsu and was, of course, trying to, to utilize that distraction of the devil python to get, Komatsu and get, of course, away and get to Cavern Lagoon for the puffer whales. He wound up at the end encountering another devil python, So that's how the chapter left off, and that's where this one picks up. And this is really, it's a fun tale. I gotta say, I enjoy it. I'm gonna eventually, I'm sure, in the series have some plot holes, some flaws, some gripes, some complaints. But as of right now, 14, 15 chapters in, I'm having a good time. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of description. The characters are likable. I'm sure that they'll grow on me even more as I find out and delve into their pasts and things like that. So the chapter picks up pretty much right where it left off. The first couple of pages, we see that that gourmet hunter with Komatsu, and he sees that devil python and some other creatures as well, and he just goes and tosses Komatsu, to the wolves, so to speak, tosses him over this ledge, and he's right in the midst of these weird-looking snuffleupagus type of things. And if you don't know who Snuffleupagus is, he was a character on Sesame Street, and he was a talking brown elephant. So that's just what I thought of, either that or maybe Babar, I guess, would be the other one. That's what these things appear to be like. Just kind of look like they got trunks, similar to elephants. So, he throws them down in there, and then we go and we see it goes back to Toriko and Coco, and Coco's like, really? Are you going to drag that piece of meat, that devil python, all through here? We got to pass back this way on the way out anyway, right? And Toriko's like, yeah, but some other animals might come and eat it, and this and that, some other creatures. And he goes, remember, I poisoned it, man. What the hell, And Toriko's got like this, it's like this huge slab, like this fucking, I don't know, man. It looks like a pallet-sized slab, 5 by 5 or 6 by 6 foot squared with rope around it of this meat from the devil python. So anyway, he goes and he says, but we had, because remember, Coco had the vision of Komatsu dying, that his demise. So and the chapter is entitled "Komatsu Died," and there's like a question mark after it, or dies. And so Coco's like, we got to go rescue Komatsu, okay? That's what's going on here right now. I don't worry about this crap. And Toriko's like, don't worry about it. I gave him something, I gave him a weapon just in case he got, into a pinch or into a bind. So then it goes back to Komatsu, and he's surrounded by these snuffleupagus, Babar, elephant-looking things, and he goes in, and you can can see the word bubble. You can't hear when you're reading stuff, only the voices in my head, but you can see the word bubbles and whatnot of Toriko explaining to Coco while they're actually showing Komatsu go and pull these. They look like these big like wind chime clackers, and he calls them Toriko crackers. And what they are is they're high-powered fireworks. Okay, that's what they are. Toriko, explains to Coco that these things, or he was explaining to Komatsu, and Komatsu's like, "Are those like party fireworks?" And he's like, "That's like what you'd see at like 10, like light firework parades or whatever." And it packs a punch, So anyway, so we know now that he is armed, right? That Komatsu is. And it's kind of cool because, again, this is sort of that like world building thing and the aspects that carry over into real life as well, into our world, which are kind of cool because as Toriko is explaining this, in this little flashback sort of in Komatsu's head type of sequence, he goes and he explains, he says, listen, he goes, you ever get into a pinch or you get surrounded, you go and you fire one of these things off. Noise is a natural aversion for creatures, humans, pretty much anything. It's like a primal fear that we have of like loud noises and things like that. And if you notice, for the most part, that's how people are. I mean, I think I used to jump a lot more at noises. Now I don't as much. I don't know why. I've just dulled my senses to them. But my wife, my 3 kids, I mean, they all, when they hear or a loud boom or something, they immediately turn. So it really, and you think about it, dogs, any type of creature that I can think of, is either attracted to or averted by the noise. So, and loud noises especially, they usually probably stray away from. So very cool stuff. Komatsu goes and pulls the pulls the pin on this thing. He's like, oh, it's so tough, and the next thing you know, man, it just boom, boom, right as this thing's about to come at him, and we just assume that it annihilated the one that was right there. It's how it looks, how it's drawn. And then the next page is just like a whole page kaboom type of spread. Then the next page, and I love this, man, because they do it real nice. It's a page turner, man. You turn it, and then the next panel, Komatsu's laid out. He's got blood coming out of his ears, so we can assume that his eardrums just exploded or popped or whatever. And then it goes and it shows a picture of his heart, and it looks like his heart just straight up stopped. Like he was just like, ah! And then just dropped. And probably because Toriko is like, inhuman, superhuman, I guess you'd say, with some things. And then as the chapter goes on, Toriko even goes, he's like, yeah, maybe I put a little too much in there. So, and he even tells Coco, because then Coco and then, Coco and and Toriko, hear the explosion, like, oh, that's one of my firecrackers, one of my Toriko crackers, and he's like, how much, Coco's like, how much gunpowder did you put in there? He's like, apparently too much. He goes, and I forgot to tell him to cover his ears, So it's kind of cool because you think that Komatsu is looking like he's laid out over there. The devil python, and I forgot to say too, the devil python wound up nailing and eating that other gourmet hunter, the one that threw Komatsu to the wolves, so to speak. He just reached out, grabbed him, smashed him up against the wall, and then just ate his ass. So the devil python, though, didn't seem to be phased at all by the sound or whatever, because it's still coming up closer and it's about to come upon and eat Komatsu. And while Toriko and Coco are running, Coco's like thinking in his head, he's like, God, please let him be okay. My visions aren't always correct, but a lot of times these short-term vision ones, like in the immediate future, are 97% correct. Please be in the 3%. Please be in the 3%. And, obviously he likes the little fella. So everybody does. I think Komatsu's a nice little fella as well. But, so then we go, and it's kind of cool because we're back to the devil python, like looming over and about to nail or eat Komatsu, nail. No, he's not going to nail him. That's just a little bit dirty thinking, though. Don't even talk about that. So as you can see, I have a good time doing these. But so then all of a sudden this guy appears, and it's kind of funny because he winds up going and nailing the devil python with what looks like to be like a knocking gun or whatever, goes and knock it out. But they show a picture of this guy, and he's sort of got like this like Elvis pompadour type, comb over in his head. And he's like 5 times the size of Komatsu, but his like upper body just looks so huge and disproportionate to his lower body that it looks like something like a Looney Tunes cartoon character. It's just so unproportionate, like something from like a Shrek or something like that, right? Tiny little legs, giant body. You're like, what the fuck is this guy all about? And he's an older dude, right? So he winds up going, he knocks out the devil python, and he goes and makes mention too of, hey, listen, that thing didn't even, the noise didn't even scare or whatever. So then he goes and he comes upon Komatsu, and he's like, and like I said, for a couple pages thinking, who the hell is this, And I had a sneaking suspicion to begin with, which was confirmed in a page or two anyway, but he goes over Komatsu and he's like, oh man, his eardrums must have got blown out, his little heart must have stopped. And then he goes and he like opens up his little vest or whatever, and he's got all these different tools and stuff on there, and he's like, you know what, he's like, I think I'll save him because I still owe him and his partner for giving me drinks on the train. So this was the old, decrepit, crippled dude on the train that I had a feeling had some kind of important part to play later on. He's introduced as Jiro. It's Jiro, so I'm assuming Jiro, the gourmet hunter. And I guess this is a gourmet hunter that he's like the gourmet hunter. He's the be all end all of them because he actually creates his own type of devices to knock out different types of creatures that aren't even sold on the market and everything else. And that winds up coming to that's a deduction that Toriko and Coco come to a couple pages later. So that's what we wind up seeing of him, and we know now and make the connection that, hey, that was the old man. And it goes to show that you never know who you're fucking with. Good or bad, you never know who you're fucking with. Somebody that you go and offend now may wind up pulling a gun on your ass. Somebody you may wind up helping now. You see somebody in line in front of you and they're a few cents short and you help them out. You never know. You never know when that person might go and see your ass walking down the side of the road because your car broke down and it's 20 below zero, and they may remember that shit or help somebody else that's in need because you gave them that kindness. So just remember that what you do does come back to you one way or another. So the karma is a real bitch. So that's my 2 cents on that one. So then we go and we get Toriko and Coco, of course, and this is really the part where they're running towards him. They've heard the sound, and Coco's like, "Whoa, let him not be let him be in the 3%." Blah blah blah. They come upon Komatsu, and he's sitting there, and he starts, and when they come up to him, they're like, "Oh my God, you're okay!" And he starts yelling at Toriko right away. He's like, "That was a damn bomb that you gave me," and this and that. And they're like trying to figure out what's going on because they're like, whoa, hold on a second there, little buddy. What's, the devil python's knocked out over here. What's going on? And that's when we find out about that it must have been Jiro, this famous gourmet hunter. He was probably on his way back from getting the puffer whales. And he even said when he went to knock out the devil python, he's like, who interrupted my puffer whale fin sake that I was drinking, And so they talk too about it's said to be that he can manipulate his body, his mass size. So that's obviously where like the huge kind of upper body hulking thing came from. But again, just a real funny face that he has, that he's drawn because he looks like this older guy with like this kind of combed over like Elvis pompadour that's like gray and white. Really funny. So anyway, the chapter winds up ending up shortly after that. Again, there's some, there's basically some heartfelt like, oh, Komatsu, thank God you're okay. Komatsu's pretty pissed off at Toriko for giving him these huge explosives. And then they wind up going, they're like, okay, come on, Cavern Lagoon is just ahead. And then you go and you get the last end of the chapter is a double page spread showing that they have finally reached their destination of Cavern Lagoon. Certainly, I'm sure there's going to be longer arcs in the future to come, but definitely this one has been the longest thus far. We've kind of been into this cavern for 4 or 5, maybe 6 chapters, and because I take the breaks on the weekends as well, a lot of times, especially with this particular weekend, I ran out of stocked up reviews that I had done ahead of time, and I did because I did a lot of things with my family downtown over the weekend, and it basically took a couple of days off for the first time in, I don't know, like 5 months. But I still did have enough reviews to get everything out, but now I'm just sort of scampering around feverishly trying to catch up here, So my chapter question is definitely, what do you agree or disagree with that statement that I made about the old man and about, you never know when a kindness given to somebody, basically about karma coming back around for better or worse, you know what I mean? Do you believe that, if you treat people poorly, it's going to come back to you in some way, shape, or form in a negative way? Or do you believe that if you wind up trying to put out some good positive energy and help others in need when you can, when you're able, that comes back to you as well? So I know it's kind of a little bit of offbeat, question, but what are your thoughts, brothers and sisters, on just the whole karma factor, I guess, as seen in Toriko or in daily life? Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it. I'm actually going to go and cook up some devil python right now. I will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
If you dig that vibe, just come subscribe. Come on, my friends, just do it now.